Why is this important to me? If I have a fiber, nerve attached to it, giving me my motor unit, the stimulus, meaning the action potential that's coming by way of the nerve, the strength of it is going to determine if we get muscle contraction. So if I get a stimulus, and I get, because that's my action potential, okay, muscles operate on that all or none principle. Remember that? Okay? Because all or none tells me that it reached threshold, and therefore contractions taking place no matter what. The strength of my stimulus plays a part in that. In other words, the action potential that's going to travel down the nerve is going to help determine how many motor units get activated. Therefore, that determines how many fibers get affected. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? All right. So when we talk about a stimulus, we're going to say that we can have a stimulus that is sub-threshold. Well, if it's sub-threshold, it didn't get to threshold. Nothing happens. There was still an action potential that came from the nerve, okay, but it just wasn't strong enough to make anything happen. We can have our threshold stimulus. Well, duh, I've said that like 500 times already. Threshold, my muscle's going to contract, no matter what. Now, can we have a stimulus that is stronger than what we would think of as making the muscle contract? Yes. Oh boy. We can have stronger than threshold. Is that fun? Oh no. That's going to be pain. If we get a muscle contraction that can get stronger than threshold, it can actually be a contraction that will be painful and not fun. So stronger than threshold. We got the action potential. We're going to get contraction. It's going to equal the contraction we get at threshold. What? If I got a stronger than threshold, but the contraction is only equal to threshold, what difference does it make? That's where the pain comes in. Because the action potential is now so strong that the muscle doesn't have the ability to contract to the point that it needs based on the potential. And it's now painful. Because that stimulus is continuing to come into the muscle, but the muscle can only contract at the level of threshold.
Is that like what you feel like if you're lifting when you're doing something active or something? Or are you, when you're lifting, are you only getting...
The most likely, the only way you're going to feel this type, like the stronger than threshold, that muscle is being mechanically manipulated. Now, let me tell you what I mean, all right? when you have some type of joint surgery, like the knee, for example, and the only reason I could do that is because I've had my knee operated on and I know what happened. Trust me, I thought I knew everything about the knee and everything. Nah, I didn't know nothing until I had the surgery, but I learned a lot. The first thing that happens when they do anything to breach the capsule around your knee, your quad automatically shuts down. It's gone into a protection mode. So any strength, any help, whatever the quad is doing for the knee, it stops. It's going to stay that way. So you go to physical therapy and they put this machine on it. Now, it's not a TENS unit, all right, and I can never for the life of me remember the name of it. But they take the little leads and they put it on the distance of your quad because it hadn't been working. Your quad has been dormant from the time of surgery till they put this on there. This little machine reaches the neuromuscular junctions in their electricity that they're sending. So they put the little leads on there and they turn that thing, all right, they turn it up as high as it'll go, and the first impulse that you get, and you come up off the table, okay, because that muscle's been inactive, all right, and they put that on there, and you're sitting there watching these two leads making your quad muscle contract. And they have turned it all the way up, okay? And that stimulus is so strong, the only thing you get is pain. And then they'll be like, oh, was that too strong? Well, I came up off the table, what else did you want me to do? You know? And so they'll turn it down. They'll turn it down to a point where you can withstand it. It's still painful, okay? But then they sit there and you're literally watching your muscle move and you're not doing anything. It's really kind of cool. But
Like a stim machine?
It's like a stim machine, but it's stronger. I cannot remember the name of it. It'll come to me during the night while I'm sleeping, and then I'll forget it again, okay? But each time you go to physical therapy, that's the first thing they do. They put that machine on you. And then, as you're sitting there, you have to keep turning it up to the point that they say, okay, I need for you to get it to 45 today. Excuse me? Where? 45. Okay. And you do. You got to sit there. But then eventually, what it's doing, it's waking up those junctions. And so now you come in and you go for your physical therapy, and they'll start telling you, make a muscle for me. Make a muscle for me. And eventually that muscle wakes back up, and you're now doing it. But to get it to that point, it was mechanically manipulated. So for the most part, if we get to a maximum stimulus or supermax, something that's over threshold, there's usually some type of mechanical or disease involved, and that becomes painful. So for the most part, okay, when you think about maybe the weightlifting, for example, all right, you know how you've got weightlifters, that are, all right, and they get up to that pole, and they got like 1,000 pounds on it or whatever. Just go over there. Okay.
They actually look like that.
Thank you. Okay. What they've done is they've taken the muscles that are going to do that, pushed them to the limit, for that one time. And the reason they drop the weight is because they've passed, you know, this point of threshold, and the muscle says, forget this, and they drop it. They wouldn't be able to hold on to it if they had to. Then you've got, you know, the other weightlifters. All right? Where they might come over here, you know, and maybe they got 50 over here and 50 over here, and they'll woo and woo and ooh and ah and ooh, and then, you know, maybe they go and they lay down on the thing and ooh ah ooh ah ooh ah ooh. Okay, they're still pushing those muscles, probably a little bit past threshold. However, because they're doing numerous reps, the recovery is not long enough. That's why they're going to hurt afterwards. But they would still get to a point in doing those reps that the muscles would say, forget you, I'm done. And they would literally drop the weights and wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Kind of cool, wouldn't it? So that's why it's better to be like me, you know, get the little 10-pounders and be like, oh, oh, oh. And then say, okay, well, that was enough for right now. Go do something else and come back and do that again. And don't build nothing up. Just saying. Okay?
I need to change my entire routine. Obviously not doing it right.
Did you like that? Okay, so the strength of that stimulus, okay, the strength of that stimulus becomes important because what we're looking for is we're looking to, you know, depending on what the body needs to do, we're either looking to not get a muscle contraction, which can be just as important as a muscle contraction, believe it or not, okay, or get the muscle contraction. Now, if the stimulus continues, meaning action potential continues to travel down that nerve to the muscle, okay, yes, the strength of that stimulus is going to continue to move higher. Now, the problem is it's not going to make that muscle contract any more than it would at threshold. But by the time we get somewhere in these points right here, is now pain. Okay? The muscle is going to continue to contract, and it can continue to contract to a point that it's in constant contraction. All right? Depending upon what's making that muscle contract, okay, will determine if that muscle is going to release. Does that make sense? In the case of something like lifting weights, body's just going to say, forget it. And that's why you drop them.
I've had the point where I was lifting and I stopped and then I just couldn't release my arm.
Okay.
And I just gotten stuck.
Did it eventually release?
Yeah, but it took a while. I just had to stop doing everything. I just was stuck like this.
Yeah, because the body's going to say, I'll show you. Okay? And it will. When we talk about this stimulus strength, okay, we're going to have something called TREPI. It's kind of interesting. Now, note what's happening. Note what's happening. We're getting a constant stimulus. All right? The first stimulus, giving us so much of a amount of voltage. The second one was a little bit more. The third and all succeeding ones, they're still coming in at a constant tension, at a constant potential. Okay? So, we call it a graded response. Now, why is that important? Why would it be important to have a little bit of a stimulus, a little bit more, and then if we've got the rest of it coming in at about a constant tension, why would this be important?